Any questions from anybody?
No, no.
Nothing from my side.
Okay. So just want to highlight about previous class. Okay. So previous class is more about the Git, all the automation environment setup, right? So if you are familiar with Git, okay, so you can fit into the any role, developer or a estate engineer, anywhere. The Git operations are same. Everybody has to use the same credentials, same operations. Okay, so my personal suggestion to everybody that okay, always keep try Git commands. Okay, always these comments are very easy. Okay, but when it comes to reality, we used to struggle. Okay, whether we should use git pull or git push or git commit. Okay, what is fetch? So we used to get a little confusion sometimes. So always try to do lot of practice, so then you will be more comfortable. For every interview, most of the questions will come in the git side. Do you have knowledge in git? How do you pull? How do you clone? Okay, how do you create your repo? So these questions will come, guys. Okay, so whether you're going to any role, doesn't matter. Okay, so my personal suggestion, anyhow, you're going to the also once we are in automation phase, probably you guys can do daily basis commits. Okay, so now the question, now we are into the manual for some time. After that, we can start automation. So what is quality assurance and quality control? Okay, so the quality assurance is usually done by us, okay, like as a QA engineer. So what we do, we have a set of process and practices which will enable the prevent defects from the occurring. Okay, so suppose I have a mobile phone, what I do, I will test all my whatever I have checklist, everything I'm going to test for the mobile, like camera, everything. So each and every piece functional testing I'm going to done. So that is comes under the quality assurance. Then what is quality control? So even though this QA people is doing, but on top of that, even quality control people will see. Wherever you buy some electronics or anything, QC passed. Did you see that message? QC passed. So QC passed means, so they will pick some of the random products, then they will test it again. So that make sure that nothing got affected. So the set of activities or practices that enable us to check the product for defects and correct them. So this is more like a measurements, whether the quality people maintained all the checklist whatever they have. Okay, so that's the difference between quality assurance and quality control. So these are okay, but I'm not going in depth of this because this is not a much important. But sometimes people may ask, okay, can you please explain about quality assurance and quality control? So that time you should be more familiar with these kind of abbreviations, guys. Okay, so what is defect? Okay, what do you call defect means? Okay, so a defect can comes in many ways. Okay, so suppose you purchase something, you're supposed to switch on the phone, but it's not working. So there could be a defect in the phone. Okay, so how do you define defect? Okay, so maybe insufficient understood of requirements. Maybe they're not familiar with the requirements. That's why they did a wrong development. Okay, there could be a design issue, or there could be a incorrect translations or any requirement. So there could be a chances of coding issues as well. So they just highlighted 50% from here, requirement 30, 20, but it doesn't matter that, okay, anywhere issue is issue. Okay, so this is defect, but it's okay. I'm not going in depth of this. So key challenges also not required. Okay. Okay, so now what is software testing? Okay, so when we are testing something, we are the checking if it is okay. So suppose you are going for a driving license. So how those people will test you? Okay, you're going for G1 or G2, whatever. Okay, so usually for G2 or G drive, what do you they do? Considering the driving test, examiner critically assessed. Okay, they have one checklist, so they will check, okay, whether these people taking right, left signals, okay, the speed control, everything they will check because they have already checklist how to test, where to test, when to test. Okay, they will test you in all the prior parameters, then only they will give you the ranking and grade, final grade. So you are within the grade, you are pass. If you are not in the grade, so you are fail, right? So our Canada driving is one of the best example, right? So that is also one type of test, right? They usually they do examiner critically assess your candidate driving, noting everything mistake done by driver under test. Okay, at the end, examiner makes the judgment about the driver's performance. Okay, so this is again, they will say, suppose you did a little like small just signal or sign, small things, they don't care. But if you do major mistakes, definitely there could be a possibility of fail, right? So we define as a severity. So what is severity? Okay, so guys, there is a one more manual question comes. Okay, can you please explain about priority and severity? Okay, so these are very, very important. Priority, severity. So what is priority? Suppose you have your brother marriage and you have your some other relative marriage. So which is your priority? Anyone?
Brother's marriage.
Brother's marriage.
How do you decide whether the priority is high for your brother?
Our
Brother is
sibling.
important.
Correct. So you know that okay, brother is important rather than relatives because the impact, the severity. Suppose you are not attended your brother marriage, the severity is high, means the impact. So maybe entire your family will abscond you because no, you are not attending your brother marriage, you are not a family member. But if it is a friend marriage, we can tell some other story. Okay, see, sorry, my brother has, because their severity means impact. Okay, so their impact is low. That's why we are calling as low priority. But your brother marriage is high priority and also high severity. Now you got it? Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's the example, guys. High priority and low severity. Like they will ask you some high priority, high severity, low priority, low severity. So that you can give in the example with the software side. Like suppose user not at all login into the application. So like suppose you have a net banking of CIBC or RBC or whatever bank, but you are not at all login to the application. So what do you do first? You will directly call to the support team, right? Guys, I'm not able to log into my account. It's not only me, but entire Canada people not able to log into the RBC or CIBC. So they will take as a high priority and high severity because that will impact their business, right? So if suppose, yeah, if suppose once you log in into the banking, okay, even the inside banking, there is a small spelling mistake. Okay, instead of balance, they written balance. Okay, something, but the severity is high, but the priority is high, but severity is not that much high. So the impact is not that much because it is not blocking your functionality or anything, but priority is high because that naming is giving wrong. Okay, so other people may think something else, but priority is high but severity is low. You got it? In other way, software side, I'm just giving an example.
Yeah.
Okay, so one way your brother marriage, the second example is login. Okay, so whichever fits depends on the question, just you can explain in that way. Okay, always use software examples rather than your personal examples. Okay, so personal examples are only for your understanding, but real time examples are for examiner. Okay, whoever going to be interviewer. Okay, so now what are the phases of testing? So always make sure that gaining an understanding of the objects to be tested. So you always focus that what I need to test. Okay, you should gaining an understanding of the objects to be tested. Okay, I gave cycle to you to test. Okay, you're thinking the cycle can be like a mobile phone. Are you? Do you think phone and cycle both are same objects? No, right? Because phone is a different functionality, cycle is different functionality. So you should have a understanding of the objects to be tested. Understanding the testing methodologies. Okay, what are the methodologies we have? Okay, how to apply? Okay, suppose there is some rain is going to be happen in the outside. Okay, so do you take car or bicycle?
Car.
So because you are understanding the situation outside, right? So that is the situation and you know that what is the impact. That's why you are taking car rather than bicycle because you know the impact. So because of you need to understand the situation. Even for testing also you need to understand the testing methodologies. Okay, which method I need to apply for this particular scenario. Okay, so I can't apply all methods for all the problems, right? So depends on the situation, depends on the issue, I'm going to change my methodologies, right? So that is the testing methodologies. I will explain what exactly other methodologies. Okay, now deciding how object should be tested. So you need to decide how to test this object. Okay, you should have a planning, what type of planning is required for testing, and you need to prepare the test cases. Okay, so means suppose you know what you need to do. After that you need to prepare how to do that. Suppose you're planning for some plan some trip somewhere. So what you usually do, first you do the planning. Okay, okay, so so on so date I want to go for some planning. Okay, this is like a 3 days trip. So after that you will prepare the complete map. Okay, the day one, what I'm going to do, what I'm going to take. Okay, this day two, what I'm going to do, what I'm going to take all this, but what are the places I'm going to cover. Okay, so that way you are planning and same time you are preparing the entire plan. The same way for testing also we need to plan the testing and also prepare the test cases. After that what you will do, you will execute whatever you done day one, day two, day three. Then you will go to the real time, the day one start, then you are going to implement. So you are going to execute all your day one activities. By 9 o'clock I'm going to start from home. By 10 o'clock I'm going to reach this place. By 10:30 I'm going to have my breakfast. By 11 o'clock again I'm going to start. So this is your running based on your planning and preparation, right? If you don't have a plan and preparation, there could be a challenge, there could be an impact of your plan, right? So that is the same process we will follow for testing as well. So once you are done with everything, what we usually do, we used to take the reporting of all the whatever we did. Okay, the report is like okay, day one everything is good, but only some cases I see some issues. Okay, these are the defects. Okay, next plan, what I will do, I will change based on my report. Okay, wherever I see challenges in my day one, but I know I'm not going to repeat in day two, because I know what are the mistakes that happened in the day one, because you have a report. Okay, so that is the overall uh, uh, plan, guys. Okay, so this is completely testing phases. Now let's go to the other level. Okay, so first of all, as a test planning said, what usually we do, preparation of test plans. Okay, we will talk what are the test plans we have. Okay, once you have a test plan, okay, suppose you have a some trip plan. After that what you will do, so you will go for a track test requirements. Okay, so so I have a plan, but what are my requirements, whether which plan I'm going for trekking, or I'm going for a beach vacation, or I'm going for some festival, or what exactly my plan. Okay, so you need to be very clear with your requirements, then only your plan will be clear. Okay, then after that, from software perspective, you need to see what are my hardware requirements, what are my software requirements, what are my resource requirements. Okay, what type of testing I'm going to do, what are the tools I'm going to use, right? So coming to the real time, so what type of transportation I'm going to use. Okay, so what type of things I can carry. Okay, what are the food related requirements are required. So all we can discuss in this. The same way we will in software side also, we go for hardware requirement, software requirement, resource requirement, testing types and tools. Okay, so once you identify all the requirements, then we will say effort. So suppose I have a 5 QA people. Okay, that particular work has to be done by so and so timeline. Now I can give my effort. Okay, one person can do this many. If 10 people, the workload will get reduced, right? So this is comes under the effort level. And the second one is scope. What is the scope of my testing? What is scope of my project? So what is your scope? Okay, so I'm not going to repeat the scope and all. If you guys need anything, you guys can ask me, guys. Okay, so don't worry about, okay, whether if I ask right question or not, but don't worry, you can ask any kind of questions here. Okay,
Yeah.
and we will go for schedule and also risk. So far, any questions from anybody?
No.
Any questions?
No,
No.
that's
If you are guys not comfortable, let's. So wherever it is needed, I'm going to highlight, but whichever is not important, I'm just skipping those things, okay? Because we need only the important things here. Because your interview and all perspective, I'm just highlighting those areas, okay? I will give you multiple examples if you are not clear. But try to get real-time experience, guys. You need to understand the concept, okay? So now let's go for a testing methodologies. Okay. So there are two types of testing methodologies. One is dynamic testing, the second one is static testing. Can anyone explain what is the difference between dynamic and static? Anyone? So the real keywords, I'm just asking the what is dynamic and static. Okay, so dynamic means always it will change. Okay, example, share market. Share market are always dynamic, it is not a static, right? So your name is static, your name never change, but our age will change, or so whichever is not going to change, it is a fixed, that we call it as static. Okay, which is keep changing, that we call it as dynamic. Okay, that's the main difference between static and dynamic. You
Yeah.
clear what is
Yeah.
dynamic? Okay, so that is the main example, guys. If somebody asks, dynamic testing means always the testing of the software throughout executing it, always you are executing something, because share market we can't expect the same value every time, right? So because sometimes the share value get increased, sometimes share value get down, sometimes increase down. So when it comes to your name, okay, your name static, your name never change, right? Until unless you change it. And your surname may not be changed but your salary may change, and that is the dynamic. Okay, your age also can change every year, that is also comes under dynamic. But static means it is fixed, it is not going to change anywhere, that we call it as static. The definition of static testing is analysis of a program carried out without executing the program. Okay, so I think you people learn something in your old days, like int I is equal to 10. Okay, that value never change, right? But if you call that value in a dynamic, then the value will change. I hope you clear with a little bit of your recalling your BTech classes.
Yes.
Okay, int I is equal to 10 means integer I value 10. That is not going to change at all. But if you call the same value in a dynamic way, where you can use the scanner method, scanner s is equal to new scanner system.in, if you enter some value, that is the dynamic value. But when it comes to static, int I is equal to 10, that value is not going to change. Example, your name. Dynamic testing example is share market. Okay, so now let's go for dynamic methodologies. Okay, so in the dynamical we call it as structural testing and functional testing. So dynamic testing, we have always white box and black box. This white box is done by developers, black box is tested by us. Clear?
Yes.
Yeah.
So what is black and white? Okay, so black box means we are not going to see inside. Suppose I came to you. Okay, hey, I bought a new car, Tesla. Can you test it? So what you will do? You are not a mechanic. What usually you will do? You will test only the gear, speed, everything, but not engine model, right? Because you are not a mechanic. You are not doing white box testing. White box testing is done by only developers who develop that. Okay, you're not a developer, you're a tester. Okay, that's why you're using black box testing, that we call it as functional testing. Clear?
Yeah.
So,
Yes. Yes.
so suppose there is a mechanic, there is a normal guy. So suppose both are having two cars. So so mechanic can do both black box and white box. But a person doesn't have knowledge on engine side, he won't do any white box testing, right? Because he knows only black box. He doesn't know what type of engine, how many screws, how many different they do different mechanical components inside, right? We don't know what exactly they're going to use inside. We know only black box. Okay, black box means out of inside, out of box. Okay, so this is like a black box testing, guys. White box is only developer will do. They will check what code they are using, what function they are using, what loops they are using. They will verify all the internal objects, okay, the source code and everything. But functional testing people will observe the behavior of the software. So we are not going in depth of the source code, but we will see what is the behavior of the software. Okay, so based on the mechanic fixes, we will observe that how the speed is going, how I'm compatible with my car. So these are the observations you are doing, but you are not fixing the, suppose your gear is not working properly, you can't fix it because you don't know the knowledge of black box, white box, right? So that is the main difference, guys. This is very important. White box and black box. Okay, the functional testing comes under black box, the structural testing is comes under white box. White box usually tested by dev team, black box is tested by QA people, that we call it as in functional testing. Okay, so for the structural testing, I told you before, structural testing is another name called white box testing. Okay, so that is done by system or component level. It is a white box testing that is done by developers. So in developers also, they do every code, whatever they're writing, they will test their code also. Okay, because sometimes I'm using for loop. So if I'm not ending my for loop, it never end. Okay, if developer do that mistake, that for loop never end, always it will gives the values. Okay, that is a wrong code. Okay, and also they write some kind of debugging things, they do logic of the code. Okay, so if they do any kind of a wrong logic, the entire value will get changed. So always we will get the wrong value in the output. Okay, so that everything comes under the white box testing. Okay, white box testing, another name called structural testing, both are same name. Okay, so the functional testing, this is very important. This is what where we are going to play our role in future. Okay, so white box testing is a package. So this is like a see the functional, the name itself has a functional testing. Functional means uh, so we do all the observations. Okay, what is going to be happen, what are my requirements. Okay, suppose I gave one car to you to test, what you usually will do, you will check what are the requirements. Okay, whether it's a four-wheel drive or a two-wheel drive. Okay, what type of engine, how much fuel capacity. Okay, how many gears we have. Okay, how to run, how to go front, how to go back. Okay, reverse, everything we will test. AC control, music system, everything we will test, right? But these all are comes under functional testing. Okay, so in software, suppose you have a bank applications, so you will check login, registration, login as a customer, login as a supervisor. Okay, like a bank supervisor, login as a agent. After that you will check your balance, you will withdraw, you will transfer money. All these are functional features, right? Clear? So in black box testing, we have a few things. One is like this is very important. Okay, black box testing includes unit testing, integration testing, system testing, user acceptance UAT, and regression testing. So if somebody says what type of testing we have in the black box testing, or else in functional testing, what are the testing types we have? So you need to say, so unit testing, integration testing, system testing, user acceptance testing, regression testing. These all are comes under black box or functional testing. Okay, both are same name, guys. Black box testing, another name called functional testing. Okay, so you have to be very unit level, like every piece by piece. Suppose you are testing only steering, that is one unit. You are testing only the wheels part, that is one unit. Okay, you are testing only the engine, you are testing only the gearbox. So all these are single pieces, that's why we call it as unit testing. But once you merge everything, that is integration testing. If any one piece is missing, your car may not start, your car may not function properly. So once you integrate everything, then only we call it as integration testing. Okay, after that we will check for the system testing. Suppose you did everything, but you are supposed to start your car engine, but it's not starting. Okay, so you need to check how the installation is happening, how uninstall, how install, how reinstall, how upgradation. All this comes under system testing. User acceptance testing is user, how the user is going to accept your product. Okay, this is more like a user level testing. Suppose you done with everything, but even though as a user level I can test one more time. Okay, so my business team will test in their way. Okay, what is my expected output, that we call it as user acceptance testing. So the another part is, this is every day we used to get this word called regression testing. Regression. Okay, so the name itself, regression. Okay, it is a continuation testing. Suppose uh, your engine, some gearbox is not working, you fixed it. Okay, again you will test all your car parts. Again you will start the engine, again you will go frontward, backward, and everything. Why? Because you change the gearbox, but I don't know whether that gearbox can impact your engine or wheels. Whatever can happen, we don't know, right? Because of that particular change, the other item, other components may get impacted, guys. I think 40 minutes is completed. Okay, remaining 9 minutes, but we can. Okay, so this is the black box testing. Okay, so how to execute these test cases in unit? Okay, by executing the test cases existing of unit integration system and regression test cases, by executing checklist of common errors controls. Okay, these are the definitions, but these are the primary things: unit testing, integration system, and user acceptance and regression testing. So make sure that these keywords note down and always repeat these keywords every time. Okay, what is unit, what is integration, system, and acceptance. Okay, now let's go to the next level, next PPT. Okay, always a tester psychology. Okay, how psychology to be? Suppose you are going to cook a meal. Okay, to enter in a competition. Okay, you select a menu, collect the ingredients, cook the food, set the table, and praise yourself for cooking such a great food. So how judge can evaluate? Okay, they look for flavor. It all the ingredients are cooked properly, or keeping time in mind. So no, I said somebody that okay, no, I mixed everything, but the taste is not good. But even though I did good job, do you think that's a accepted statement?
No.
So the end goal is I should get a tasty food. What level you tested, what level you added flavors, everything, I don't care, because I'm not coming to the back, right? So you are preparing food means you know which one you need to add it, which time you need to do, how much boil time is required, how much garnish is required, how much spicy it is required. Everything has to be taken care by you, right? The end goal is as my customer, I'm going to taste my food. Okay, but I'm not checking that okay, you added all the vegetables, you did a good job, but taste is not good. But as a customer is happy? No, because the customer end goal is supposed to get a quality and a flavored food, right? Tasty food. So that is the quality. So how you're testing, where you're testing, what time you're testing doesn't matter, but end goal should be your the entire quality, whatever you did, everything has to be clear and no defects in the software. The same like example like this. Okay, so you should have that mindset. Okay, I have to be very clear with my requirements. I need to be very clear with what I'm going to validate. The same way cooking example, always keep this kind of example so that you never forget. Okay, so always you need to be keen observations are required. Okay, why this login functionality implemented, why sign up is required for a customer. Okay, why this balance statement, if there is no balance statement, what is the impact? You have to be always like a detective skills. You are more like a you're a CBI officer, because you are investing defects in the software. You are always more like a complete observations of each and every piece. Okay, you should have a detecting skills that okay, suppose I entered my login with my password, but says other person username password also same password for everybody. Do you think that's a good software? No, right? Because everybody has their unique credentials, right? I have same credentials should not work for everybody until unless everybody has the same password, right? So that kind of testing is required. But okay, observations, detective skills, and destructive creativity. Okay, you should always think beyond your requirements. Okay, see what happens if I test this way instead of phone number. If I give my email, what happens? You need to do all kind of different thought process in your brain. Okay, suppose the phone number, the money, suppose there is a price. Okay, price always start with 1 2 3 4. Price never start with 0, right? Until unless some decimal values. So this kind of testing is required. Suppose my price value is accepting ABCD. Do you think it's a good implementation? No, price never be characters. Price always numbers. Until unless they define, price should be in the character mode. Okay, you should ask okay, why this price tag is allowing characters. Okay, suppose you're filling a form, so wherever they say name, can you write your phone number? No, right? Because you will follow what is name, what is phone number. So name means only alphabetical. right? Phone number means only numbers. If it is a password, it's a combination of special characters, numbers, everything. So you should have this kind of creativity, okay? And understanding the product as a integration of its parts, customer oriented perspective, and also you should have a attitude, okay? You never be rude to developers that, okay, hey, there is a defect in this, man. Wow, what are you doing? You don't have common sense to fix this kind of defect. You never be bad attitude. You always be very polite with your people, whether it's a defect or not. You should convey in a proper way, okay? And you should have a patience at your job and flexible and organized. Then only your team will support you, okay? And you should have always good attitude, okay? That is very very important. So once, if you are not able to understand your requirement clearly, suppose I ask you to prepare something, but you are not clear with my requirement, what happens? The output will be bad, right? In a different way, because you understood different way, I explained in different way. So the output is not as expected. So that is what miscommunication or misrequirements. Okay. Testers should not exhibit superiority or try to enforcing their point of view. If somebody is explaining you, hey, no, this is the logic is in a different way, okay, that's why this value is coming this way, but you know that it's a defect, but you never argument with developers. You convey them that, okay, see, this is what I perform these steps, but even though I'm expecting this value, but as per your logic, this is not coming as expected. You should give in a proper explanation, then only your, but you never be aggressive with everybody that, okay, no, no, this is not the logic. If you don't know the requirement, don't work, but never do like this. So you should not blame those people, okay? Because you are working in a positive environment. It's a good environment, right? Everybody do mistakes. We need to convey that how to rectify those kind of defects in future. Okay, so now types of testing. We have a functional, structural, and non-functional. Functional testing, what is the other name?
Black box.
Black box.
Yeah, structural.
White box.
White box.
Yeah.
White box.
Apart from functional and structural, there is another testing called non-functional. Okay, suppose car color, okay, a car steering leather, okay, or else what type of sticker you are putting into the car, nobody cares, okay, because that is for non-functional. If there is no sticker also, car can go, right? So these are car color doesn't matter. So these are comes under non-functional testing that we will talk in the future. So, and I think another 2 minute session is going to end. I'm going to stop the session. Okay, you guys can rejoin the same bridge, guys. I'm going to stop this call. Okay.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, functional testing, structural and non-functional. Now let's go to the functional in detail of each testing. Okay, functional testing, another name called black box testing, right? As we already discussed before. Okay, it is also known as a black box or else functional testing. Your test if car can be driven smoothly, brakes, gear, other functionality working properly without knowing the internal parts of the car. That is called functional testing. Black box. Black box means just you are testing the piece, but not inside what components they have used, right? So black box testing is testing either the functional or non-functional without reference of the internal structure of the component or system. That is black box. This definition anyhow you can read out. Okay. This is another interruptibility testing. This the process of testing determines the I mean what is the ability of the capability of the software product. But this is not a I mean much important. But black box testing, another name called functional testing. If somebody asks you what is functional testing means, you should give us always the functional testing has to be everything, the behavior of the application, okay, has to be working as expected without getting into the internal structure of the component or system. That we call it as functional testing. So security testing. Security testing, everybody knows, okay, what is security? Okay, the testing well the system is able to differentiate user profiles and provide the right business to functionality. So security, always every company they will follow the security testing. Okay, nobody should going to, even if you log into the your application like your banking, there could be a security threat. Okay, they will send you one OTP, so that once you log in with your OTP, then only you can able to log into the application, because they're providing more security to your application. Okay, to avoid frauds. Okay, the same way security testing is to to test the system to depends on the user privileges, access, anything comes under the security testing. Okay, so now let's go to the structural testing. So this structural test, okay, this structural testing is not important, but you should know what exactly is structural testing. Example of white box. Like mechanic always do white box testing because he knows each and every piece. Okay, that's the example. So non-functional testing is a testing of like performance. Okay, suppose how many kilometers we can drive, what is the performance of my car. Okay, like everything, like your phone performance, how battery performance, how camera performance. So everything we will check. This is comes under the non-functional testing, like color. Okay, like performance, everything. I think somebody. Okay, so that is comes under the non-functional testing. Okay, example, um, efficiency, performance like mileage, engine size, capacity, number of passengers, cargo, everything is comes under the non-functional, because it doesn't matter what whether it's a cargo or everything, but the first functionality is whether the car is working as expected, car is running or not. Okay, all wheels are working, all engines are going to be start, everything we will check. Okay, types of non-functional testing. So performance testing, load testing, stress testing, usability testing, portability testing. Okay, so performance testing. So we usually listen this word, right? Performance. What is your performance? Your performance is not good. Your performance is good, because performance is the degree which system or components accomplish the design functions. I'll give you a simple example. So through output, okay, I will see entire your year. Okay, how many tasks you completed, how many defects you reported, how many promotions you got. Everything I will check end of the year. That is called your performance, right? Like your any in college days, usually what they do, progress report. Okay, progress report is performance report. So like how many marks you got it in each subject, why you're not good in that particular, why your score is getting reduced. So everything they will check based on your performance, right? The another testing called load testing. So suppose if I'm keep adding the load, how the system is going to suppose I'm keep adding load into the lorry. Okay, what happens? The more load goes, the speed will get reduced, right? Because the vehicle is getting stress, the engine is getting stress because to carry the load, right? So that is comes under the load testing. In software also, suppose if you see tatkal time in irctc. Okay, so the software works every properly in all the time, but exactly at 10 o'clock, 10 a.m in the ist, the application will get I mean very slow, because all users will log in into the same time. That is called load. Okay, instead of 100 people, that particular time, all entire india people will going to log into the irctc, so that the load is going to increase. Suppose you are going to temple, so every day the temple rush will be 100 to 200 people, but when it comes to festival time, you can expect more, but the same capacity, but the people crowd is going to increase. That we call it as load testing, because whatever we have capacity, but out of your capacity people crowd got increased. Okay, that is called load testing. So when the load is going to happen, what happens inside? The application feels stress. So the entire temple pandit, everybody will get stressed, because why this many people came, how to serve food, how to bless these people. So he will get more stress, right? That is called stress testing. Whenever the load increases, the stress also will get down. If you manage a festival time in a different techniques, then the system may not get into the load. That's why what IRCTC will do, they will ask you to enter captcha, they will ask you to enter some other external things. Okay, then they are going to reduce the people. So the minute you are entering captcha, other person can go into the next page. Okay, that is the technique they used to follow. Okay, this is example of load and stress testing. Usability testing is how the product is understand, easy to learn. See, whatever you design doesn't matter, but end of the day, how the end customer is going to use your product. So now one company came and asking that, okay, can you design a bicycle? That bicycle can useful for everybody. So what I need to understand from that requirement. So I need to design a cycle that seat should be adjustable to all the ages. Okay, and also I need to think in a different way, what we can change this cycle to anything. If your cycle is easy to foldable, many people will buy your product because that is user friendly. Okay, but your cycle is very heavy and you're not able to lift that cycle and you're not able to fold, or you're not able to change your seat and everything, usually you won't get the good customer rating. Okay, so this is more like a usability. Suppose your login page is very hard colors. Okay, like it's not at all, we are not able to see. So the background color is yellow and the color font also yellow. Can you see what exactly username and all? Because the color combination is very bad. Sometimes we are not able to read what exactly they have keeping inside the characters. So this is comes under the usability testing. So another one is portability testing, how fit into that. Okay, how the portable. Suppose I designed a phone, but that phone is not easy to carry, you need to carry in the some carry bag. Do you think you will buy that phone? No, right? Because people will see the portability. The more you reduce the phone size, then people are getting more interested in your product. So this is comes under the portability. Like in olden days, the laptop computer means we have very big desktop. We need to switch on your desktop. You need to switch on your CPU, and we need to do lot of experiments before going to start your computer. Now these days we are getting very easy friendly laptops. Okay, just power on. You can take it to anywhere. But earlier we don't have that portability. That's the example. Okay, and now these are not required, but I'm just giving you reliability. Okay, you know this keywords name called reliability. Okay, I'm just giving you an example where you guys can read out later. Okay, this is not important, but maintainability means how you are going to maintain, how it is reliable. Okay, how long this project, how long this can work. Suppose today login is working, but tomorrow login is not working. So that means it is not a reliable to everybody. Okay, the server is not responding on time or any specified time. It is not going to be reliable to the people. Then we call it as it's non-reliable. Okay, so another one is this is very important. Any type of testing, we have a positive and negative testing. So what is positive testing? What is negative testing? Anybody can explain? Anybody? Okay, see, we call it as no, the positive people, negative people. So what is positive people? Real time example. So suppose I say somebody that hi. Okay, other person also say hi. So what do you think? This guy is a positive guy. But if I say hi to somebody and somebody was scolding me, why you said hi? You don't have manners to say hi. Then what do you think? That guy is a positive guy or negative guy?
Getting that.
Negative guy, because you are asking positive way, but that guy is responding in a negative way, right? Okay, so the same way in software also, suppose you are login with your username and password, valid username, valid password. Suppose your H&SS global email accounts. Suppose whatever I provided username and password, if you give the right username, right password, usually you supposed to log into the email box, right? But suppose instead of username, you just provided password, instead of password, you provided email. What happens? So you are not able to log into the application because you are entering in a different way, negative. Okay, so that is the example, guys. Positive testing is always test the application with a valid input, also verify that output also correct. You said hi, other person should say hi. That's a positive people. You are saying hi and somebody says scolding in a different way, then we call it as negative. The same example in software also. Your input is positive, valid, and the output also valid output you will get. If you give the negative value, okay, instead of price value 123, I gave at the rate dollar and all. Do you think that's a valid value? No, that is comes under the negative testing. So why do we need negative testing? Of course, we need to do the negative testing. So we need to check. Suppose my first name, okay, my first name should be not more than 15 characters. Okay, suppose even though my first name is accepting more than 100 characters, nobody have a 100 characters name in the world, right? So we need to define the system that it should allow only minimal this many characters in the first name, this many characters in the last name. Suppose somebody asking enter your date of birth. Okay, always date of birth, two digits in month, two digits in day, four digits in year. But have you seen six digit in year? If the system is accepting six digit in year, do you think it's a positive testing?
No.
So, so that is the we need to validate. So first you need to validate 000. System should throw error that never be 00, right? So 111. The date of birth never be 111. Okay, these are the negative testing. What are the positive testing? So we should enter the valid values like whatever year, valid month, valid date. So then the system should accept. So that is comes under the positive and negative testing. Okay, so we discussed before unit integration and system and acceptancy, right? Now we'll go in detail. So like whenever you see before going to cook anything, what you need to do, you need to make it all unit level pieces, right? Your onions, your whatever vegetables, whatever everything you need to keep in your places. First, what you will do, you will test your vegetables whether any all vegetables are fresh or not, or any defects in the vegetables, right? After that, you will check the pan, you will check everything, right? But these are comes under the piece by piece. So you can read the example. Okay, so here vegetable first and then choose the right ingredients. After that, you will see the how the food is spoil the food. Okay, like if your ingredients are not clear, it will spoil the food. Similarly, in software world, program is made up of many little pieces. Okay, unit testing is making sure that each those pieces does what it's supposed to do. Okay, suppose in your cooking you did everything but it's not boiled properly vegetables, do you think it's a right cooking? No, right? Because you need to test each and every piece. So the way you're using inputs, the same time you need to maintain the temperature as well. You need to see the boiling point as well. So all this comes under the unit level because you're testing in piece by piece. Okay. Now let's go to the integration testing. I told you before what is integration testing. Okay. Suppose you have a railway tracks, but you don't know how to integrate. So suppose if I integrated this way, what happens? Do you think it's a right way of integration this?
No, no.
Because you should know that how the integration. So we need to test always the left should be connected to the left, the right should be connected to the right. I said, no, no, developer said, no, no, now code is available. I integrated everything. Now you test it. So now these are the developers. Okay. These are the developers. These are the QA people. Now, do you think it's a right approach? Whatever they fixed it, they
No.
everything is piece by piece. But when it comes to integration, they did a wrong integration, right? So this is the wrong one. So why we need integration testing means to make sure that everything is integrated properly. Instead of four wheels, they fixed only three wheels. Do you think it's a right integration?
No.
No.
Instead of front engine, they put it in somewhere engine. Okay. They did all the wrong steps while integrating the steps. So we need to make sure that everything should be integrated properly. Okay. That is the integration testing. Okay, now we are already, so you guys can go for the definitions later. Okay, suppose a function X save the right database, function Y update the user password, does function Z send an email? So this is like a unit level testing. X is one function which is storing a write data. Okay, Y is updating, Z is sending. So save, update, send. These are the three operations. That is called it as unit testing. When it comes to integration testing, when the user enters a new password, clicks an OK button, the password changed and database get a confirmation email. Because when the minute you are entering username, right, that is you are saving the some value. After that, you are updating your password. After that, user should get a email. That is your expected output. When it comes to integration testing, we don't know. Just we are going directly clicking the link, and we are going to get a one pop-up that okay, enter your new password. Once you click it, again you will get a confirmation email that your password is changed. Okay, that is called integration testing. Any so example, like consider the password change option in Gmail. Okay, lot of functions would be written, such as function X to check the password entered in the right format, function Y to update the password, and then function Z send a confirmation. So developer has written three code. First code is password entered or not in the right format. The second function to update the password, whatever user enters. The third is developer should send an email to the user that once he done with the valid password changes, then you should get a password confirmation, email confirmation. So in the unit level, we are testing X, Y, Z, all single pieces. But integration testing, we will check in a flow, not like a single piece, right? Clear?
Yes.
Okay, what is system testing? So this is the example. System testing is used to verify working of this whole system altogether. Example, after all the cooking is done by your mother, serves the food and you taste it and let her know if the food is cooked properly. Here you are the tester who is testing the quality of the food. Similarly, system testing is done by the tester to find out if the end product meets the software requirements. Clear with the this definition?
Yes.
Whatever your mom prepares,
Yes.
we never see what is going in the kitchen room, right? But the end goal is we are going to test whether food is cooked properly in a proper taste and also quality of food. Then only we say mom food is good. Okay, if nothing is boiled properly or anything, we say that it's not good. Again, your mom will go to kitchen and she will repair something and again she will bring it. This is, we call it a system testing. We are testing the end product completely. Okay. So the same Gmail example, you guys can go through this. Okay, like login, module, inbox, compose mail, delete functionality. The system testing means you need to test all these components. You need to log into the Gmail, you need to check your inbox, compose mail, delete functionality. So all this we need to test in a system level. Okay, how the user can able to access all these modules in one level, that is called system. We are checking entire system. Okay, so always the flow comes like this: unit testing first, after that integration, after that system, after that user acceptance testing. Okay, first you will cut the all the vegetables first. Okay, after that you will integrate in one bowl, right? You will mix all vegetables. Once you cook everything, it will go to the system. This is your final product. So once your mom taste it, again she will bring it to you. She doesn't bring directly to you because he will test before bringing to the end customer, like. So that is the process. So acceptance testing means like it's completely going to the market. Okay, so there are two types of testing in acceptance. One is alpha testing, beta testing. Have you heard this name called alpha software, beta software? Okay, so alpha testing means, see, sometimes any product is going to release. So suppose you are going to Costco, okay, so or any kind of store in nearby your place. So usually some people will give some samples. Okay, so why they will give samples? Because they will conduct their product that whether that product is tasty or not. Okay, before releasing to the market. Okay, that is called alpha. Whatever we are getting Costco samples, that is comes under alpha, because first they are testing. So once we get the taste and everything, if you think that is good and yummy taste, definitely we will buy that product. That is comes under the beta. Beta means end product. Alpha means before going to the market, they will test it in alpha level. That is called alpha testing. Clear? Alpha testing done by uh, near customer site, but beta testing is like alpha testing is done by a group of audience, not all the people, but only the only group of people. But once alpha testing is clear, everybody said no, your product samples are very good, it's very good, definitely you will get a very good product in the market. Then what I will do, I will release my product into the beta version. So once it is going to beta version means that's the final, I can sell to the customers. I can give it to all the customers and everybody. But here I'm just selected few customers and I'm just giving my software to test for these people, whether it's working as expected or not. Once based on these people feedback, it will go to the beta testing. So that is called final testing. So like final product to the market. Clear? So tomorrow I'm going to ask you these questions, guys. What is defect and all? So I'm just giving a overview. So I'm done with this PPT today. So I will ask you some questions tomorrow. Because I'm not asking today because you people are not familiar. But this recording is already available in our system. Okay, the day one already uploaded all the PPT. You guys can read out and let me know. I think somebody messaged. I didn't see. Okay, so Anu has just added. Yeah, Anu, you just want to add any inputs, Anu?
No, Satya, you have covered everything.
Yeah, yeah, Mahesh, you want to take?
Yeah, yeah, Satya. So first of all, I wanted to know about the installations. Is everything okay on every side? I mean, each and every side, everyone's side. So if there are any issues with your installations, we have to solve that first before going to actual sessions of Selenium with Java and Cucumber. So anyone have any doubts about the installations, or are you facing any issues?
No, man. No, Mahesh. It's good.
No.
No.
So, is everyone checked whether your Java and Maven installations are successful, and are you able to see the versions?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. So today we will discuss about the locators. This is the main important part in Selenium with Cucumber testing. So I'll explain why we need to learn locators. Okay, let me share my screen.
I can stop Mahesh. Yeah, I can take it.
So in Selenium, for example, in manual testing, let's take an example of a website. Okay, let's. So I'm pinging you the link of this particular website where we can practice each and every locators. So Selenium mostly supports. There are few kinds of locators how we can identify an element. Before going to that, for example, if any website I wanted to type anything, like for example, let's go to sign in page. So manually, how we will type? First of all, we will identify what exactly I need to enter in that particular field. For example, this is email address, right? So manually, by seeing just this is the email address field, I have to enter email here. Okay, so I'll enter email, and by seeing this particular field, I am it is a password, right? I have to enter password here. So similarly, we need to tell to Java and Selenium that these are the email field and this is the password field where you have to pass a particular email address to this particular field, and you have to pass password to this particular field. So in order to we need to tell to the automation or Selenium that these are the particular fields we have to enter something. So in order to identify a Selenium, each and every element, how it will locate is you have to right click here, inspect. So when you do inspect, it will give you all the HTML code for this particular web page. Okay, so for example, you wanted to locate this particular element. Okay, so click here and then hover here. It is highlighted now, right? So if you see here, the highlighted part here, you can see input tag. So input tag is to enter any text into the web page. Maybe I know a couple of you are already familiar, but I wanted to tell this to everyone because these are the basics in test automation. So with the help of this thing only, throughout any automation test framework will work, because in order to, without identifying any element, how that automation framework will interact with the web page. So
Yeah, Mahesh, let me
right,
give another example. So, guys,
yeah,
see, we have lot of homes in entire world, right? But how people can easily identify your home? Because every home has a address, right? Every address has a street. Every street has a place. Okay, so there is a interlink. So if you give your address, that is your location path, right? The same way in software also, they will develop to allocate the address of the component or element. Okay, I think we need to start this session, Mahesh, after 10 minutes. Okay, so you guys clear? So you have a address of your home. The same way, for every element, there is an address. That address comes from, this is the right side, whatever Mahesh is explaining. So this address type is input. Okay, so the email address is entry field. That's why they're adding input type is equal to email. So we don't worry about the code, whatever they have written in the developer side, but we need to make sure that email address has some address, password has some address. Okay, that is the address we need to say. Yeah, go ahead, Mahesh.
yeah. So in order to identify any web element, we have different kinds of locators. So what are they are? First is the first priority we should always give to ID. So each and every element may or may not have this ID, but if any element has that ID, we should must and should use that as a locator for that particular web element, because if developers added a particular ID to that particular element, it is a unique throughout the web page. They never they will not the code will never allow them to use the ID again to other element, because it is a unique one. So if there is any element which has ID, for example, you can see here ID, this is the input field and the attribute ID equal to email. So with this attribute, there is no other element would have this ID equal to email. So since it is having ID, we should must and should use this ID as our locator. And similarly, there is a name and then partial text, next XPath and CSS. So ID and name both are similar. See here, ID equal to email and name equal to email. The first priority we should always give to ID. If this particular element doesn't have ID and it has name, you can use name as well. Okay, and then partial text. Partial text is, for example, if any element has a link text. For example, this is a link text, right? So when you click on this, for each and every link text is associated with a tag. A means anchor tag. So if any input element that has A, it means it is a link. It will navigate to some other web page. Okay. So here A, and what it contains, forgot password, right? If the length of the text is too much, you can use the partial text as the identifier. I'll show you real-time examples, but I'm just explaining the theory part of this. Okay. And next, XPath. So this is the most popular identifier or locator in test automation. And there is one more thing, CSS. So in XPath, you can see two different types of XPaths. One is absolute XPath, and second one is relative XPath. So absolute XPath means, so for example, in order to identify this particular element, what this one. So if you right click here, click copy, you see copy full XPath here, right? So see what it returns you. See, this is called absolute XPath. So absolute XPath means it identify the path starting from HTML tag. This is a root tag, right? HTML, then body, then div. So it will traverse from top element to this element. You can observe this one. So parent element is HTML, okay, and then body, and then div1. This one div1. Again div2, div2. There are multiple divs, and after that there is an input tag. So if developers changes anything in between or XPath, for example, you while writing your test automation script, it works, and after few days you wanted to execute the same script, okay, but your test case will not be able to identify this particular element because the XPath got changed, because in the meantime developers has changed something in between. So don't prefer this absolute XPath. We should always go for relative XPath. So relative XPath means, so it will identify just that particular element, okay, and div. Relative means only to this particular relative to form group I wanted to identify input group. So I'll show you how we can write relative XPath is, click Control F. Okay, so immediate parent of this particular element is div, right? So I can write, this is the syntax, click Control F here, double slash, this is the common thing, double slash, okay, div, and then input tag. So there are 8 matches with this XPath. So we need to shorten this thing. So always you have to identify a unique XPath for each and every element. Otherwise your script will fail. It will not identify the proper element that you wanted to interact with. So now this is over on this particular element, right? Now I wanted to write a unique XPath for this particular element. Even though it has ID, but if for example, let's assume this don't have ID and this don't have email, okay, and it has a type equal to email option here, attribute, we call it as attributes, and this is the element name or tag name, and these all the remaining things we call it as attributes, and this is input is the tag name, okay. So we have to write a square bracket after that, since it has a attribute called type and equal to email, right? So you can write @type equal to email. So now you can see, still you are seeing two options, two elements it is finding, okay. One is this one and one is somewhere else within the web page. So in order to again shorten this, you have to identify with the help of indexes. If you, so this is the unique index, you can see 1 of 1, right? So throughout throughout this website, if you pass this particular XPath, it will always locate this particular element, email address element, okay. So in the similar way, this is the most important question, what is absolute XPath and what is relative XPath? In interviews most of the time they'll ask you this question. what is what is XPath and what is absolute XPath and what is relative XPath. Okay. In the same way, CSS selector. So, and there is one more important question they would ask is, so what is the best, I mean, what is the fastest locator in between XPath and CSS? The CSS locators are the fastest XPath, and the flexibility wise, you have to choose XPath, relative XPath, because relative XPath provides you multiple options to locate an element, but whereas CSS doesn't provide as many options that XPath provides you. So always, if in terms of performance, we should go for CSS. In terms of flexibility of identifying an elements, you have to go for XPaths. So similarly,
Yes,
yeah, Satya, you want to add something?
that the session time is going to end. Probably we can rejoin, guys. Then even I can add some more points. Yeah,
Yeah, sure.
guys, join again. Right, guys? So in apartment also we have a number of units. So you need to define the exact location of the address, then only your parcel will go to the respective person. So whatever Mahesh is giving you the inputs, you need to identify what type of element it is, what type of address it is, okay, what type of element is present in the web application, whether if I use this kind of CSS element, whether this is going to work, or if I'm going to use my XPath, whether this is going to work. So you need to do your customized XPath. Okay, so in automation we have already one PPT, but why Mahesh is explaining you high level way. So you need to understand from the very beginning level. So what is address, what is XPath, what is element, what is input, what type of XPath we have, what type of address elements we have, why these elements are required, everything you should be keep in your mind. So whatever Mahesh is explaining today, all these questions will come for interview. Everybody will ask this question. So can you explain what type of automation elements we have, what are the locators you can find, can you write any customized XPath? They will ask you to share your screen. They will give you some website. Can you write XPath? Okay, once you're done with your XPath, 99% people select you. So because they want people to test this kind of, they're able to find out or not. Okay, so we have an automation PPT that Mahesh will take care later, but he's going to explain in a high level way. Yeah, Mahesh, we can take control, Mahesh.
Yeah, sure. So I hope you are able to see my screen, right?
Yeah, yes, we can see.
So in a similar way, I have explained XPath, right? So CSS selector is also similar to XPath, but it is a different way of identifying an element, and it provides lesser options than XPath to identify an element. And the performance wise, it is the best one. So in order to identify an element using CSS, there are a couple of syntaxes. Like you can identify the same element which has ID. You have to add pound symbol before that. Okay, for example, let's go to this. So this has ID as email, right? So in order to identify this particular element, the syntax with CSS selector would be pound, sorry, email, right? So this is the CSS selector. So I'll explain the difference between the CSS selector and XPath. So if you wanted to identify an element using CSS selector, this is the syntax. You have to just append pound symbol, and it has an ID, right? ID as email, ID equal to email, right? So this is the CSS selector. For the same element, you can write an XPath as well. And if you wanted to write an XPath for the same selector, first of all, you have to give double slash and the tag name input, square brackets, and you can choose any of the attribute. Since it is having multiple attributes, you have to identify a unique attribute for this particular element. So let's take name, @name equal to, what is the name? Email. So that particular element will be identified using XPath or CSS selector. Okay. So let me take this and now Control F, Control V. So now also it is able to identify. So an element can be identified in a multiple ways, but as an automation tester, what we have to do is we have to get the minimum, if someone asks you to write an XPath, you have to make sure that you are writing in a simple fashion, like just the input name and the attribute. So the result of this should show you one element only. So since here we are seeing two elements, right? The same input field is used in somewhere else in the website, that's why you are seeing two here. So if you just copy complete XPath here, put parenthesis and give index as 1, so it will identify only this particular element. You can see 1 of 1, so it is now uniquely identified. This XPath is able to identify this particular field uniquely. Okay, so whatever we discussed, I'll show you in a practical way. So I just created a sample project, okay, sample Maven project. So in the Maven project, I just added a dependency called Selenium. So why earlier we discussed, right, why we have to use Maven as a build tool. So when you use Maven as a build tool, it creates a pom.xml file by default. Okay, so in that file you have to add this particular dependency. So from where you get this text is, just go to Google, Selenium Maven dependency. So Maven is a repository for all the libraries. Okay, so click on the first link, Selenium Java, and this is the latest version of Selenium. In the interview, they might ask you what is the latest Selenium and what is the Selenium version. You can say like 4 dot something. So 4 is the parent version of that, and these are the subversions under that. Okay, and click on this, copy this particular text. So you can see dependency, right? We are adding, what exactly here we are doing is we are adding this particular dependency to our project. So what happens once you added this particular thing in your pom.xml, so whatever the functionality that Selenium has developed in this library, you can directly use them. Okay, so this is the main purpose of Selenium, main purpose of adding dependencies into your project. For example, you have to use a Cucumber framework, so you have to add the Cucumber dependency as well in the pom.xml file. Okay, in which manner we have searched for Selenium, you can directly search in Cucumber. So for each and every software, it will have a Maven dependency here. So this is the latest Cucumber JVM Java, and this is the version, latest version of Cucumber is 7.15.0. Okay, so this is the dependency that you have to copy and paste in the pom.xml file. So once you just paste, it will show you in red color. You have to perform a command called mvn clean install, so that it will download that dependency and add that dependency into your local path. At the end, you should see build success. That means this particular library is downloaded successfully, and the color of the font changed from red to white, right? So it means this particular library is available for you to use now. So now I'll just write a sample Selenium script. Okay, so what we are doing here, this is a normal Java class. This is the syntax for normal Java class. Okay, public class sample, public static void main. I'll just try to explain in a simple way. Like this is a sample Java class. For example, if I wanted to just print hello world here, it prints hello world in the console. See here, you can see hello world. is printed. So the same Java class that we can use for our test automation, but for a basic purpose, what we are what here we are using is, first of all, we are running our automation scripts in Chrome browser. So we need to have a object of this Chrome driver. Okay, Chrome driver equal to new Chrome driver. So what? So with the help of this driver object, our script can communicate with the browser. For example, I'm opening a browser and I am launching a this particular website. I wanted to enter some text into this particular field, and this I wanted to enter my password and click on login button. So in a similar way, I have to write code for each and every step. Whatever we are doing here. For example, I'm first action. What we are doing? We are launching a Chrome browser and then entering a particular website URL here. So the same way how you have to write a script here is, so now we have a driver object. So driver dot get. So this particular line, what it does is, whatever the website URL that we pass to this particular get method, it opens the Chrome browser, because we are using driver as a Chrome driver, right? So what it does is, it launches a Chrome browser to you and opens this particular website. Whatever the URL of that particular website, we have to pass here. So let me run this particular class now. See what happens. So it opens a Chrome browser and launches this particular website. You can see this particular website, right? So with this just two lines of code, you are able to launch the browser and you are able to open the particular website. Now you wanted to pass something into the input fields like email address and password, and you wanted to click login. So I'll explain how you can do. So in order to enter some text here, first of all, you have to identify an element. So select that element, click inspect. So this has ID equal to email, right? So this one, you can use driver dot find element. Here also you can have a different there is find element and find elements method. This is also an important interview question. Okay, let me write syntax variable by dot x. Here, since we are using id, right, by dot id, and you have to pass the id name here. Sorry, id is email, right? Dot send keys. For example, test@email.com. This is my email ID to log in into that particular application. So here you can see driver dot find element is a method that provides, Selenium provides this method. Find element, what it does is, whatever the ID or XPath or name, whatever the CSS selector that you are passing to passing as a variable or parameter to this method, what it does is, with the help of the locator that you identified and you added that particular syntax here, so this driver object will identify that particular element. For example, in our case, we have to identify email locator. So with the help of this, it will identify that particular element. And send keys is nothing but typing some text into that particular field. Okay, so always you have to use send keys method if it is a input tag only, because only input tags takes the input. Okay, so similar way, here one more interview question is there. For example, driver dot, press control space here, find element. You can see there are two different methods: find element and find elements. So what is this is an important interview question. They'll ask you what is the difference between find element and find elements. Okay, so if they are, you can answer like find element identifies a unique element with that particular locator, whereas find elements will identify a list of web elements. Okay, list of web elements that matches the locators. For example, earlier you can see for the this input, this input, you can see there are two elements are recognized in the browser. Here you can see two, right? So, but in order to since we have to identify any element uniquely, we are writing as a index format. For example, I am putting this entire X path and then giving index as 1, so that now you can see only one element. So if there is only one element that matches your X path, you can use find element method. But you wanted to identify all the elements that matches your locator, then you have to use find elements method. So that is the different elements. At the end you can see S. So this is the different. Find element identifies only one element, but find elements returns you list of elements that matches the locator. So just remember this particular thing. So now, since I have entered email address, I also have to enter password. So what is the password ID? Okay, what is that? Yeah, you can see password ID as ID login password. So as discussed, if there is any element that has ID, use that particular thing only instead of going for XPath or CSS selector. ID is the unique one. So with this ID, there would not be any other web element. Find element ID. Okay. So now what it does is it opens the browser and it identifies email element. It passes this particular text to that field, and this is the password, and it enters this password into the website. Okay, let me close the existing ones. So you can see test@email.com entered automatically and the password entered automatically. So now you might have understand what is automation. So since it is just a single test case, you will be able to type manually like test@email.com and abc, and you click sign in. For example, if you have hundreds and thousands of test scenarios you have to execute and you have to make sure each and every functionality is working fine manually, it will take a lot of time to complete your testing procedure, right? So that's where your test automation comes into handy. It will for example, in the night we have CI/CD jobs where we can trigger that job, and by the when you come to office in the morning, you will see the complete list of results, what test case got passed and what failed, and you can analyze the failure cases, why it is failed. If there is any functional issue, you can create bugs. This is the main advantage of automation. Without any manual intervention, you will be able to execute your all your test cases and report bugs by identifying or analyzing the test results. So now I wanted to click submit button, right? So submit a login button. So you can see ID for this particular thing is login. Driver dot find element by dot export. Since it is a submit button, you don't have to pass anything. You have to, what you have to do is you have to click on that. Okay. Why it is not clicking? Sorry. See, I have made a mistake. Instead of using ID, I'm using XPath. With XPath login, it is unable to identify an element. So it returns a exception. What you can see, no such element exception error, right? Because we are using an ID here, and we wanted to find this particular thing with the help of XPath. So that's why it is unable to recognize this particular element, right? Now what you have to do is you have to change it to ID. Okay, now this time it will identify this particular button with the help of ID, and it will be able to click on that particular element. So it clicks on login button, and user is able to log in into this particular website. Okay, so any questions so far?
No. Excellent class.
That find element, I understood to find
Okay.
only one element, but
Okay.
find elements are for many elements. So can you tell me any example where we should find that many elements?
Yeah, sure. So for example, you have some scenario called there are hyperlinks. For example, in a website, there are multiple hyperlinks. Okay. So you wanted to make sure that each and every hyperlinks are working fine. And when you click on that particular link, it takes you to that particular website. But for example, I don't see an example in the real time, but I'm just explaining theoretically. For example, let's take a website called abc.com, and your test case is, so after you open this particular website, you wanted to find all the anchor tags, all the maybe amazon.com would be the best example. Let me go to Amazon. NLBNJR. So now just click on right click here, Control F. So we just discussed, right? Each and every hyperlink will be having a anchor tag. Anchor means A. So you can see 350 different types of hyperlinks. I mean, these are all hyperlinks, right? So you can see 350 hyperlinks. So our test case is we have to find all the anchor tags in our web page and click on each and every hyperlink, so that whether it is working fine or not, that is what our test case. So in that case, if you wanted to for example, if you have to verify each and every link, for example, for example, I wanted to identify careers. For the first time, I'll take the XPath of this and click on this, and I will make sure that this is working fine. So you have to write that 350 times, right? Instead of doing that, you can store all the hyperlinks in a web elements. For example, let me give you in a practical way. So driver dot find elements by dot xpath. So what is our xpath here? To identify all the hyperlinks, this is our xpath. // a dot, sorry. So what it does is, let me uncomment this, and I'll give you the URL of Amazon. But if it is having, since the while launching this particular amazon.com, we have captcha, right? So through automation, we will not be able to handle the captcha things. Okay, let's see whether captcha will come here or not. Okay, so this identify list of anchor tags, and it will store in a list of web elements. All anchor, all, I can see all links. So list is a Java collection object. You have to import that. Yeah, you can see import Java util list. Click on this, it will automatically import that particular package to you so that you can use util package in your script. So what it does is now it will identify all the hyperlinks in Amazon.com website. And so in order to you have to verify each and every hyperlink is working fine or not by clicking on this particular so this is a Java syntax. I'll explain how you can write this. So all links dot for each is a method. Okay, for each element e dot click. So this is a single line of code. You will be able to click on 350 different kind of links, right? So if you don't have this find elements method, you have to write these 2 lines of code 350 times to click on each and every hyperlink. Now you understood what is the advantage of find elements.
Yes, yes.
Any other questions? I'll plan basic framework, how we can framework, and I'll show you some positive and negative scenarios with the help of this, and then I'll switch to framework designing. Satya, you have anything?
Yeah, yes, Mahesh. So, guys, so whatever Mahesh is explaining, this is about the automation stuff, right? So, like, I will share some of the documentation for the automation. I will upload today. Then probably you can go through each and every step. Okay. So, how why automation? Why do we need automation? Okay. What is Selenium? Everything we have a documentation, but again, we will show you the PPT level. But this is the high level. Okay, why we are doing git controls everything. Okay, so whatever you are writing, you need to commit. Okay, what are the XPath, how the Chrome driver will come. See, the way you can open a Google Chrome and you can test the Amazon site functionally manually, but same way if I use automation, I can run n number of times, I won't get any bore. But automation, I will get bore, right? If I do functional every time, if I want to open Amazon and do all these things, I will get fed up in some point of time. But automation never say bore. It always runs how many times you want. So that is the advantage of automation. That's why now the companies are looking for automation resources rather than functional people, because your role is more like a developer role. We call it as SDET. Okay, software development engineering in testing. So that is called SDET. So if you are familiar with the automation, you can go for even Java developer also some point of time, because you know the techniques, you know the logics, how you are implementing. But Java profile is a different, but automation is similar to that, because we are using some of the public static void main. This is one of the Java main class. Okay, so for calling any class, so public class sample, okay, that is the class. So these are the same which is derived from Java. So that's what you need to be very keen into the automation. So whenever you say interview, so I say I'm working 60% in automation, 40% into the functional, so that you will get I mean highlights in your resume. Because the minute you say, hey, can you tell me about yourself? Hey, I'm Satya, I have a total 5 years or 4 years of experience, but on daily basis I used to work on 60% automation and 40% into the functional testing. So I'm into the agile. So you need to explain all your inputs towards your automation. Okay, so now you get to know, right, how the browser works, how the Amazon, how the username and password gone into the website. So this is what in automation real people will do. So there are a lot of structure and framework, but these are the the simple one sample file for your understanding, guys. Clear?
Yes.
Yes, Satya.
Okay, so we will go through the documentation, because rather than going to the documentation, so Mahesh intention is to help you people to get into the practical, because theory anywhere you will get it, but the practical, the way he is finding the elements, how the way he is implementing, the way he is writing his piece of code is a different than documentations. So now you know the reality, how the code, now you can go for theory. So then you can read out, okay, why this is happening. Then again, in tomorrow class, Mahesh will take you what is automation, why do we need automation, and what is selenium. So these two things will happen tomorrow.
అంతే మొత్తం పోతుంది.
Okay.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
can wrap up then. Yeah, thank you guys. Any
Thank you
questions
so
from
much.
anybody?
Thank you. No.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.